We're live, man. We're live. How you
Oh,
doing, Elijah?
hello. I'm good, man. I can't complain. It's a Friday night, and we just saw another spectacular UFC card. How are you, Tyrese?
I'm doing good, man. This is our new home. If you haven't been under a rock in this week, we changed our channel, man.
We did. And for those who are our viewers, could you let us know while I go ahead and fix my glasses and headset?
Yeah, we're officially on our new channel, Renegade Sports. With Seuss the name MMA Renegade,
Woo
and
woo.
yeah, man, this is a new start for us.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. Always excited to start something new.
We got 2 subscribers already, so also a good start.
Nice, nice.
Yes, man.
So, Tyrese, if we can just recap what we just saw, and we're finished very shortly, a momentarily ago, is we saw the UFC on ESPN, Reyes versus Weidman in Boston, Massachusetts, at the TD Garden.
Yes.
Um, how did you feel about the fight card
I thought
in
the fight
general?
card was, I thought the fight card was good. I said to you privately that this is one of the best fight cards, non pay per view of the year to me on
I
paper.
agree. I thought there were some very good matchups, and I thought we got a mix of future contenders, and we got a good mix of people looking to cement their name. So I thought it was a very good fight card. You're right. When I re-looked at everything, I saw the fights like Kevin Holland versus Brendan Allen. I saw Randy Costa versus Boston Salmon. I saw Molly McCain versus Diana Belbita, and then another fight I was looking forward to is Joe Lozon versus Jonathan
Yeah,
Pierce. So you got some new uppercomers versus some perennials, and then you got some people looking to capitalize and move up in the ranking. So again, in terms of this card, it probably was one of the better cards, if not the best non pay per view card of the year.
the only card I could think of that maybe tops this on paper would probably be the first ESPN card we had, which was ESPN Plus card was Dominic. I mean, no, TJ Dillashaw versus Henry Cejudo for the flyweight title.
Now that was a great card because I believe that night didn't we also get Robbie Lawler versus Ben Askren?
No, we got on the John Jones card.
Oh, we got that. Got it. No,
But we got
the John
yeah,
Jones card was when he. What you mean when he fought Anthony Smith, right?
yes, yeah.
Got it. Okay, that's fair.
we
That's
we
fair.
got we got Don Cerrone versus Alexander Hernandez, which was a good fight. But
That was a great fight.
I think top to bottom, when you look at this card and the prospects from this card, and then you look at the main event, the co-main event, the
You
main
got some
card
good ones.
itself, you had a good fight card overall. So I think it was
You
pretty
did.
good.
You did.
Before we go any further, I just want to say, please subscribe to our channel. Please leave a comment in the live chat if you can. We greatly appreciate it, and we love to hear your
Of
feedback.
course. We love the interaction of fans while we're doing a live show. So please do not hold back comments. Just
And
keep it PG though.
or not, well, it depends on you. Got my
Yeah.
water.
All
Got my
right.
other stuff. Here we go, bro. So
Order.
Dominic Reyes beats Chris Weidman by I believe was TKO.
TKO first round.
TKO first round. Dominic Cruz is now 12-0.
Dominic Reyes,
Beats a former middleweight champion.
former
And
middleweight champion.
I think tonight he solidifies himself as the number one contender.
You know, it's hard. It's interesting, right? Because Weidman jumped up from 185.
Yeah.
Weidman was always within the top 10 with 185. And with the way that the middleweight division, after he had lost his belt to Luke Rockhold, he never quite made it back to title contention. He was always in the picture as a name, being a former title holder, but he was never quite in the picture where it was like he's one fight away because he had a string of injuries and then he beat Kelvin Gastelum and he got injured again. So it was just really interesting. And he lost to Yoel Romero. So it was really interesting the dynamic. So him bumping up for many people, a lot of people thought this was a great way to introduce him to the division. But a lot of people think that with the win over with Dominic Reyes' win over Chris Weidman, that he necessarily doesn't warrant a title shot. But I agree. I think the man should actually fight for the title next.
I think it also comes down to who's next for John Jones. I mean,
This is also true.
he beat Anthony Smith. He beat
He
Thiago
beat him.
Santos.
He beat
Outside
Thiago
of
Santos.
outside of that, help me out here. John Blachowicz.
Jan Blachowicz.
Thank you. I always get that one messed up.
That's okay.
He's fighting Jacare soon. You have Corey Anderson fighting Johnny Walker, so that's fight's already happening. Thiago Santos is out, even though he maybe wants a rematch. And then Alexander Gustafsson is out. So the only person John Jones can fight theoretically in the light heavyweight division would be Dominic Reyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting because you think about John Jones and just you think about all the big fights that he missed out on. And I think I seen Luke Thomas bring this up. That's why I'm bringing it up now. Credit to him.
Mhm.
He talked about how John Jones, his options of big fights has narrowed down dramatically. Um,
Mhm.
they're talking about they're trying to hype up this Israel Adesanya fight. Which I don't see
Yeah, you
happening
see
anytime
that.
soon.
You see that. You see that because realistically, John Jones is in a position where he's cleared out all of the 205ers
Yeah,
previously, and
twice.
so twice. And with the abundance of middleweight people going up to 205, although they are contenders amongst themselves, with John Jones in the picture, you just don't see them challenging John Jones right away because they're having a tough time with the 205ers who were there, who are either haven't beaten John Jones yet or have lost to someone who's gone against John Jones, like Jan Blachowicz, or I want to say someone like, what's his name, who just fought. Crap. Bottom line is the point I'm trying to
Yes.
make is the middleweights who are going up in 205 they're having a tough time dealing with these 205ers because these 205ers are so used to being at 205 that they're kind of dominating them. But these are the guys who can't beat John Jones. So
Yeah.
now they're in a weird position.
My takeaway from that, not to cut you off, but
No,
my,
that's
my
we are clearly on the same plane here, brother. That's it. We
no,
see
no,
that's the plane.
but my point was that John Jones, he had a point in his career where he pretty much cleared out the 205 division already twice, like you
Mhm.
said. He's beaten DC, who was regarded one of the best light heavyweights on the planet. He's got through that. He's beaten Alexander Gustafsson twice already. So he's running out of people really at 205, and not only that, he's running out of big names. So in his time in the UFC, he's lost out on the Brock Lesnar fight. He's lost out on
Mhm.
the Cain Velasquez fight that could have happened. He lost out on the Chris Weidman fight that could have happened. He's lost out on the Luke Rockhold fight. He's lost out on DC3. Maybe Stipe. Maybe Stipe is a future fight. Maybe Israel Adesanya. But when we talk about big names, big names that can bring big money, he's pretty much
Yeah.
lost out on that.
And I think that's in part to his own volition, but then I think
Yes.
that's also I think a big part of that is due to him. That's the
Yeah.
personal thing that he's been going through. But another big part is the people, like, to be realistic with you, like to have fought Weidman in the time that Weidman was a champ. I just don't think that fight would have come to. I would think there was one chance to make that fight happen, just one.
Yeah.
But that was around the time he got with the pregnant lady, the hit and run, and that's when
Yeah.
Gatorade dropped him, Nike dropped him. That was around that time. That was the one time I thought that fight could actually happen. Because I remember you thought about that. You said that should be a really good fight for 205 or Weidman to go up and see
Right.
if it's possible. But other than that, I mean, realistically, there's not too many fights for John Jones. He's cleared out the division. The 205, the middleweights, the 185ers who are deciding not to cut weight and
Sure.
going up to 205. The only one who's had success against John Jones is Thiago Santos. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only
Yeah.
person who's had success against John since, I want to say,
Gustafsson.
Although Cormier
Yeah.
gave him trouble in the second round in both fights, Jones, that was only one round, whereas Thiago is threatening him multiple times in the round and throughout the 5-round fight. So it's just I truly don't know what happens, but the result of this fight, for me at least, shows me one thing, that I think, again, Dominic Reyes is ready to challenge John Jones because there's no one else, one, and two, he's got the skills and he's got the body frame, he's got the necessary attitude to do it. I don't know if he beats John Jones, but I definitely would love to see him going against John Jones.
Here's my question to you, right? And you talked about this privately about whether a win over Chris Weidman really warrants a title fight. I think it does. I think it does go to the default. There's nobody really left for Doug Reyes to fight and John Jones to fight, really. So it makes sense. But is Chris Weidman's his chin? Does it come into question to where it's going?
Well, here's the thing, all right? I think
I think the mileage has done his job a little bit.
I think he's been in some really good fights in his time. Lyoto Machida, Vitor Belfort. If you go back to, he didn't really get hurt in the Anderson Silva fight. But who else can I say? Kelvin Gastelum rocked him in the fight.
Yeah.
Yo
Luke
Romero
Rockhold.
TKO'd him. Luke Rockhold, he TKO him or did he finish him?
Luke Rockhold finished him.
Luke Rockhold finished him. And
But
so
it was from Mount. Maybe he threw the spinning back kick.
yeah,
And Luke
he caught.
Rockhold
Yeah,
took
he threw the
him
lazy.
down.
Yeah, he threw
Yeah.
that like, lazy kind of kick. He was gassed. Another brother was gassed in that one, and then he lost to Ronaldo by knockout. So you know what I mean? Like his last few losses have pretty much been by him being either TKO'd or knocked out. So I think he's getting to the point where it's a little bit more wear and tear than when he was his younger self, when he was rising through the middleweight division. Because he fought guys like Mark Munoz. I think he what was he fight? Fought Mark Munoz, fought Damian Maya. He fought Alessio Sakara, Tom Lawler. He fought a litany of guys, and he was beating them decisively. I mean, the elbow for a long time in 2013, 2012, 2013, 2014, one of the bigger highlights for the middleweight division was him throwing that inside elbow, or I guess like he veered off to the side when he hit Marmunoz and knocked him out. You know what I mean? Like that's one of the bigger things. But I think realistically speaking, I think this could be the signaling of the end for the MMA career of Chris Weidman, which isn't a bad thing. Which isn't a bad thing. I think beating Anderson Silva is one of the biggest accolades you could probably ever have in this. One of them, not but one of them, of the biggest accolades you could have in the sports of MMA. But I think this is the time to reconsider whether fighting should be continued or not for him.
Yeah, I agree. I think here's my takeaway from the Chris Weidman fight. As his performance, I think we looked at Luke Rockhold and we said, Luke Rockhold, he didn't look right at 205. Like he put on a lot of muscle. He put on a lot of muscle mass and whatnot for this fight. Chris Weidman looked really, really good coming into this fight. He looked really well. Just want to continue for a second. But it was just the chin. Reyes did the step back left hand that dropped Weidman, and who knows if he could have took that when he was at his height, at his peak. But it just seems like now Weidman
is getting caught.
Yeah.
He's getting caught. That's just it. He's just getting caught.
And his kids bigger guys now, so
these guys, like you go up, you get hit. Like that's it.
Yeah.
You get hit. That's it.
And I don't think he goes with middleweight, and it's going to be hard for him to kind of build himself up at middleweight too. So I think if he wants to continue, his home really should be at 205. I think it should have been at 205 for a long time now. Like way before the Yo Romero fight. I think we talked about this. I want him to go 205 then.
I was always happy with him at 185. I thought he was a solid 185er. What I will say about him going up, he did look good. He definitely looked like he played the role. I think maybe he could have taken another fight, but I mean, it's the world of MMA. It's either you take the fight you can take. Like the harder fights are going to be the harder fights, and sometimes a fight's a fight. Doesn't matter whether you think it'll be hard or not. You have to go in there and you have to fight. But with that being said, he got TKO'd again, and it's just hard to see. I think this is my theory with MMA. I think there's errors in MMA, and everyone knows this. But then there's a new error that comes in every, I think I want to say 5 years, maybe 5 to 6 years, where you have these fighters who are just now the standard, and so all of the old fighters, it's just harder. It's just a little bit harder for them to keep up, and I think that's what you're seeing. Like UFC's going towards the new age of fighters these days.
Yeah, I agree. Dominic Reyes is somebody that people talked about being a title contender a while ago, and he took his time. He took some fights along the way. Took the Volkan Ozdemir fight, which I thought he lost, but he got the win nonetheless.
Yeah, I was very confused by that too.
And now he beats Weidman, which was another big test and a step up in competition, and he goes through Weidman. I think clearly he's the number one contender. Anthony Smith is still hurt from what he said in the post-fight show. John Jones doesn't go to heavyweight. Yeah, I think Reyes is the number one contender and should fight John Jones next.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think that's the fight to make. John Jones doesn't have he doesn't have anyone else to fight him, if I'm being honest with you. There's no one else to fight the man. The man's cleared the division. Like it just makes the most sense. But for Weidman, I think some time off. I mean, he's taking as much time off as he needs. I don't know if he shouldn't come back anytime soon. Getting knocked out or TKO is really hard to deal with. I think you should give your brain some time to recover. I think he should really reevaluate whether or not he takes one more fight. Or I wonder how many fights he has left on his contract. That's more important. I wonder how many fights he has left on his contract because he seems like a guy who'll probably carry his contract then retire. So if he has if he has one more fight on his contract, why not? But if he has three, I wouldn't fulfill all three.
I agree.
If I'm his team, Ray Longo and Matt Serra, I wouldn't fulfill all three. I don't think that's just the best move because Weidman's still a young guy. I think Weidman's not even 35 yet. I'm pulling him up now.
Sure, you can do that for me.
Weidman, he is 35. He's 35.
So.
He's a young guy. It's that's okay. He's a young guy.
No, he's not. He's 35. He's damn near. He's closer to 40.
That's young compared to people who are upwards of 70, 80, like 35. If you really think about it, and if you think about it, like the average human lifespan is around 75 to 80, 35 is just half that. It's really not that old. So I think realistically, he should consider retiring after one or two more fights at the most.
All right. Disclaimer: Elijah's a little tired. Just so we can understand this off the top. You got school tomorrow, but yeah.
You think 30? I'm sorry. You think 35 is old?
Yeah, at 35 by MMA years. Think of all the fights he's been through. And
I'm thinking, no. You're talking about two different things. I'm talking about he's 35 in general. That's why I'm saying he should stop because he is still a young guy.
Oh, okay. You're saying
I'm not saying 35 in terms of MMA years. That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is he's 35. In life, he has a whole life ahead of him. 35 in MMA years. I mean, depending on the division, is perfect or not. But I mean, you're right. He has a lot of wear and tear. That's the point I'm trying to make. So he's 35. And being at 35, he should really evaluate whether or not he should be fighting still.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Looks like someone else is tired. That's what's going on here.
I'm also drinking off the juice too. So I mean, there's also that.
Hey, is it juice? Wink, nudge, nudge.
yeah, wink, nudge, nudge. But yeah, Reyes looked good tonight. I thought I thought the one thing that I was curious about was the wrestling of Reyes. Could he withstand Weidman's takedown defense? And he did.
Although he got taken down, and that cheese grater thing that they call out, I know you heard that. Yeah. That cheese grater thing, man, that's just the funniest thing I ever seen because the brother's just really going up, scratching his back against the cage, but it works. That's the interesting part about MMA is you have these simplistic things, and it's just like it just works, it just works.
Yeah, so, I'm interested to see what Reyes does against John Jones. I wonder if the takedown of John Jones could stop Reyes from striking with him. I think it can. I think that the leg kicks from John Jones. Just thinking about the leg kicks from John Jones, that space, that distance. I think he could beat Reyes.
Now, it'd be interesting to see if John Jones comes in southpaw or orthodox in that fight because Reyes fights southpaw, and Reyes loves. I mean, he can switch, of course. Almost all fighters can switch, but some favor one than the other. Reyes likes to throw a heavy left leg to the body, so that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested to see if the range of the leg body kick, the range of the body kicks can actually get to John Jones. Because if that changes the game for me. If he can land those body kicks early on, that would be a much more interesting fight than John Jones just dominating him by wrestling him. You know what I mean?
And John Jones gets touched a lot more these days now, and he will. And even though he has good wrestling, he will stand. So I'm excited about that. But let me ask you this too: Is John Jones fighting Gustafsson when he did? Is this perfect preparation for Dominic Reyes? They're both the same builds. I think Augustus maybe a little bit bigger. Probably has the better boxing.
Yeah.
I think Gustafsson was the better test for John Jones. And I think if John Jones could beat Gustafsson the way he did twice, I think he could beat Dominic Reyes.
You know what the interesting is? Their striking styles are so much different because Gustafsson doesn't utilize a lot of body kicks and he doesn't utilize a lot of leg kicks,
Yeah.
I think when it comes to Gustafson's game, Gustafson loves to piece you up. Like that's the goal because Gustafson at his core is a boxer. Like that's kind of what he started with. Gustafson keeps the range, hits you, he gets in the uppercuts, loves to throw in uppercuts and hooks and combinations between the two. Goes to the body every now and then as well, just to mix it up to get you thing and cuts those angles. Now Dominic Reyes, he's a little bit more hands feet oriented. So I think that alone presents more of an issue for John Jones because you have to worry about
Really.
the two areas of striking, the leg and the hand.
Yeah, it's a downfall.
Huh?
No, I'm sorry.
You said you think it'll lead to his downfall?
Yeah, just because I think you can see this Chris Weidman fight as well. Like Dominic Reyes threw the leg kicks, yes, but Chris Weidman was all over it. And as soon as he threw the leg kicks and the body kick, Chris Weidman then got to the legs and looked for the takedown. So I think because Dominic Reyes uses his legs more so than his feet, his hands. I think you see more of Dominic Reyes using his legs to lead up to his hands. I think that's the downfall of Dominic Reyes.
I think Dominic Reyes would have to not only he has to work in feints with that to get John Jones off his game, but I think the key would be going to the body early and hitting John Jones' body. But John Jones, the thing about John Jones is this man, he's not gonna do everything that you do, but he takes your best trait and uses that against you. And so you're right. I see what you're saying. I understand what you're saying when John Jones is gonna use his striking against him. I think the key to Dominic Reyes winning is the striking because Jones has the department of wrestling, and I think with the wrestling comes the jiu-jitsu. Now Jones isn't a black belt, isn't a purple belt, isn't a brown belt. I think he's a blue belt. I think maybe, or maybe he is a purple belt at this moment. I don't know.
He choked out the Machida.
He choked out. Like this man, like it's the physical attributes of John Jones. And his mental, and the man's just that creative. So, if I were to put Reyes versus Jones, I would put more emphasis on Reyes' striking. But I understand that John Jones can use that against him, and that's the worst part because if he's using his best thing against him, what do you have? So, but again, I think Reyes definitely deserves a title shot.
No, I think we're both in agreement there. I think Reyes done enough to get a title fight. And listen, you could market that as two undefeated guys fighting each other for a title. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Moving on to the next fight, man, which was the fight of the night, I think. Jeremy Stephens versus Yair Rodriguez. Yair Rodriguez wins unanimous decision. I think this fight showed a lot about Jeremy Stephens is not done by any stretch of the means. He's still one of the best featherweights in the world right now.
Yeah.
And B, Yair Rodriguez is the real deal.
Yeah, Tyrese, who's been telling you about El Pantera? Who's been telling you about El Pantera? I know there was that one fight where he fought Frankie Edgar, and you were like, "So what's going on with your boy Elijah?" And I was like, "Yo, I don't know. Frankie Edgar is just that good. That's just it. Frankie Edgar's in a league of his own." But
he is.
El Pantera did his fucking thing. I mean, that second round was so intense. Oh, for those who don't know, again, Tyrese said that he won by unanimous decision. I do think, for one, if this was the 5-fight round, a 5-round fight, I think Jeremy Stephens would have won. I agree. I think Yair Rodriguez. We saw this in the Korean Zombie fight. I mean, well, to be honest with you, Korean Zombie was piecing him up most of the time. But when Yair was able to get off, like hit him and correctly and like tap him, he was good. But Yair seemed to have gas towards the 4th and 5th rounds. If you notice the same thing, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
I saw the comment as well, but I'll keep going. You figure that out. So in reality, I think what Yair did was the unpredictability of Yair. This man threw crescent kicks, side kick, teep kicks, kicks to the calf, kicks to the thigh, kicks to the knee. I mean, this man was so creative. Didn't throw a lot of punches, but he was willing to stand in the pocket and box. So when he went southpaw, he threw that body kick. But when he went orthodox, he boxed with Jeremy Stephens to make sure he cut angles to go out, fade out left, and fade out right. So I was very proud of Yair Rodriguez, and Jeremy Stephens is without a doubt, one of the most talented, but like heart. I don't know. The man's got heart. That's the best I want to put it. The man's got heart. He took one of the worst body kicks I've ever seen and was able to come back from that.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just reading an update that we'll probably get into on the next fight. It's regarding Greg Hardy. Just seen the update regarding that fight. That fight, to say now, ruled no contest.
Yeah, that makes sense. But we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. But yes, Jeremy Stevens looked good. But Yair Rodriguez just better. I think he came out aggressive, which stumped Jeremy Stevens a little bit. The leg kicks early on, the body kicks, not giving Jeremy Stevens a chance to even settle down in the fight in the first round. And then, like I said, in the second round, the body kick that added up on and on and on hit Jeremy Stevens and he dropped him. And then from there, it seemed like Yair Rodriguez was going to beat him by TKO.
It seemed, but in the process of trying to finish the fight, he gassed.
Yes.
So I'm wondering if his issue is either that because it seems like his cardio is that because he's at 145. He seems like if you don't have the cardio at 145, that's gonna beat you. But what's interesting is he's had the cardio in 3-round fights before, but I don't think he was being pushed in that manner of like because he was throwing everything he had, crescent kicks, side kicks.
He fucking ran in the beginning of the fight, ran and jump kicked him Verdun style.
He did. He verdoomed him. That's a thing. He verdoomed him. And it was interesting. I saw that and I was like, wait, what? These guys really don't like each other. But at the end of the day, they did. It was actually funny. In the third round, Yair was like, "Yo, pound," and Jeremy was like, let's get to this because I almost finished you at the end of the second round." And that was the Jeremy Stevens got heart. It's a candidate for fight of the year, or maybe comeback of the year, but I feel like comeback you usually have to win. And I think Stipe Miocic has the comeback of the year.
No, yeah, he has the comeback of the year for sure. But I think Jeremy Stevens, what he did in the second to third round was impressive. He took Yair Rodriguez down in the third round and controlled him there and landed a couple of straight, which was good.
Great.
But yeah, man, Jeremy Stevens, he looked good. I don't think he's far from over. I think if we're looking at the rankings, I think he should probably fight the loser of Kattar versus Zabit next.
You know who I would like to see him fight? Renato Moicano. Where is he at?
Interesting.
I haven't seen him fight in a while.
That's a good fight.
That's a great fight because Renato Moicano was the next biggest thing in the featherweight division. He lost to Brian Ortega, but went on a 3 fight winning streak. And then he lost to Chan Sung Young because Chan Sung Young came back from serving his time in the Korean Army and got knocked out, and that was it. He lost to Jose Aldo and he lost to Chan Sung Young. We haven't seen him since. So I'm assuming he's probably hurt. He has to be hurt. That's the only thing that makes the most sense. But I'd be interested in seeing that fight if he was up for it next year.
Oh, that's a good fight. That's a very good fight.
I mean, I think because I don't think Moicano doesn't have the skills to get it done. I just think that he's fought some really tough competition and he's lost. He fought Aldo, then he fought Chan Sung Young. And I think to fight both of those two back to back, who are true, the former king of the featherweight and the former title chaser, and current title chaser, like those are really hard fights to fight back to back. So, I'd be interested to see that. Or if he's gonna go up, I'd be interested to see him Moicano at 145. But Jeremy Stevens, you're right. Back to him. No, by no means should he be. He's still 2 to 3 fights away from a title, in my opinion. Two solid fights, but 3 realistically.
Yes, I agree with that one. And before we go any further, I want to say to the viewer watching, please comment in the live chat. We'd love to hear from you, and subscribe and share as well.
Yeah,
love to hear your thoughts. But yeah, man, I like that Moicano fight. I was thinking Zabit versus Kattar.
Calvin Kattar is nice.
Yeah, Zabit's fighting Calvin Kattar next, and I thought the loser of that should fight Stevens. But you're right. I think Moicano will be a good fight too. I didn't even think about that.
Hey man, Moicano again was one of the biggest things. Fighting at an ATT
Yeah,
American Top Team. They have a solid camp. Really good, some killers.
yeah, that's a really good fight. But speaking more so Rodriguez, um, he has to get the winner of the Korean Zombie versus Ortega, right? He has to.
Yeah, I
Like
think
that's
that's best. That's best for it to stay current. That's
yeah.
what's best.
'Cause I think the winner of Korean Zombie versus or Brian Ortega, I think they're right next in line for a title, and I think Yair Rodriguez deserves to fight before that's really warranted.
Now,
You
here's
know
the
what I'm saying?
thing. Here's the thing. I will say if Korean Zombie wins,
You have to run it back. You have
they
to run it
have to
back.
run it back. But if Brian Ortega wins, he has to fight Pantera. But depending on how that fight goes, I don't see Ortega getting the title shot immediately. For some reason, I
No, he has
just
to
don't.
fight two. He has to fight two.
That's
He
what I'm
has to
saying.
fight
He
two.
has to fight two fights, whereas Chan Sung Young, if he wins, he only has to fight one. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like because Chan Sung Young's got the momentum again because the guy really only lost to he only ever really lost to Aldo, and that's because he dislocated his. I mean, he's getting dominated, but he also dislocated his shoulder during the fight during overhand, and that's what hurt him.
yeah,
And then you had him lose to. You had him on the way to winning until not Jeremy, sorry, till
yeah, yeah,
yeah, caught him with a phenomenal elbow, a phenomenal creative upward elbow,
yeah. Which
So,
I think Korean Zombie beats Yair in the next time they fight. If they were to fight again,
if you
I
run it
think
back in a 5 round fight,
yeah. I think
100%.
Chan Sung Jung beats Yair Rodriguez.
Yeah,
Which
I
is
do
why
agree with that.
I think if Korean Zombie was to win against Brian Ortega, which I think he can, I think the logical fight to make would be Yair Rodriguez versus Korean Zombie too, for the number one contender.
I agree. I agree. I
You know,
agree. I'm
um,
happy Holloway's fighting Volkanovski. Yeah, so I'll
yeah,
put
I
that
think
out.
it moves the division along.
100%.
Can you imagine if Max Holloway would have beaten Dustin Poirier, how much disarray this division would have been?
If
Because
he
it would have logged Jim this whole entire thing. When you think about it.
would realistically, if he beat Poirier, the immediate fight is Khabib. That fight would have taken place in Saudi Arabia. And if he beat Khabib, if Holloway was the man to beat Khabib,
No, but what I'm more talking about is just this featherweight division.
I
If he was to beat Dustin Poirier,
I know
okay,
if he beat Poirier for that belt, he would have logged it. And I'm telling you, he would have had to have fought Khabib. They wouldn't have let him defend that featherweight, which would have prolonged that division even more.
right?
Then let's say he beat Khabib, I think they would have forced him to get rid of the featherweight belt.
Yeah, but in that time, we would have Frankie Edgar still
And
waiting
that
in the
time,
room.
let me
With,
tell you that, and that time, and the time between him, let's just say in a hypothetical alternate universe where he actually did beat Khabib, he beat
yeah,
Poirier, then beat Khabib.
yeah,
I think a year and a half would have gone by with that featherweight belt being defended,
yeah,
and that's realistically what you're talking about. Like that
yeah,
time would have been such a hold and freeze on the featherweight because there's just so many people who can fight for the belt at featherweight.
yeah,
That's also the issue. It'd be different if there weren't a lot of people to fight for it. And it's like, all right, cool. It's like build up this weight division, but there's just so many. Yeah, Frankie Edgar, if you ever wanted to give him a title shot, because he wouldn't have gotten it in that time. I think.
yeah,
Then you would have given it. You would have had Chan Sung Young coming back. You'd have had Brian Ortega who could have possibly fought back. Yair Rodriguez, Aldo. We're already at 6. We're at 7 people. Maybe I miscounted. Maybe let's just say 6. Let's say 6 people already that
yeah.
could possibly fight for the belt.
Sabit's
So
not too far away either.
to beat. That would have been 7 or 8. So like that's just it. Like it just would have been it would have been a great thing for Max, but it wouldn't have been great for the division. But like sucks to suck. The man beat someone who was undefeated. So like I mean, it is
Yeah,
what it is.
now we have a featherweight division which is thriving, and now we have contenders.
Right.
You have contenders lined up next, and they're fighting each other in the division, where it perfectly lines up who's the next contender.
Yep, you have the next few fights made in the featherweight division and within the top 10. Those fights matter, and those fights are like actually aligning up to who's going to fight for the belt. You're right. I 100% agree.
All right, man. Let's move to this next fight. Where do we start with Greg Hardy? So
Let's just say,
let's
go ahead,
let's
please.
let's
Bring
start
something
with
up to me.
let's start with this fight is officially ruled no contest. If the viewer that's watching this fight didn't know by now, that fight is now ruled no contest because Greg Hardy used an inhaler during the fight, which is apparently not illegal from what I'm seeing, but apparently by Kevin Lioli, I hope I'm saying that name right. He said
Uh-huh.
per Mark Ratner, he is the VP of the UFC. He says the commissioner never approved the use of the inhaler, and the inspector said it was okay, and he didn't have the authority to do so. Fight officially ruled a no contest. But here's the thing about that, right? The commission never approved the inhaler. Doesn't mean to say that it can't be allowed ever again. That wasn't ruled there. And then
So,
go ahead.
yeah, no, you finish the reading. Sorry.
Look, I'm gonna pull up the tweet I seen from Kevin Ioli that he got from um, Jeff Novinsky, which I have here now. So Kevin Ioli also says the inhaler likely contained, this is per Jeff Novinsky. He said the inhaler likely contained albuterol or
Albuterol?
yes or salbutamol. Those drugs are allowed at all times not to exceed 800 micrograms per 12 hours. Each puff is around 90 micrograms. Per Dana White, mass commissions approve use of inhalers. So basically, if Greg Hardy would have gotten the approval of the commission early on, he could have used the inhaler, from what I'm reading here. So
it seems like there's a miscommunication on a couple of parts, though, because you said the inspector said. See, that's the thing, right? First off, when it happened, everyone was like, "Wait, what the fuck is going on? Like, that's not allowed." And I questioned it, including you. But I mean, that's rightfully so, because when in the history of watching MMA have you ever heard a guy say, "I want to use my inhaler"? Ever?
Never.
I've been watching since 2012. That's not a long time, maybe to some people, but I have never in my life ever seen a fight where anyone's ever said, I need to use my inhaler. So one, that was the most interesting part. Two, since it doesn't happen, I didn't think there was an actual rule that allowed against it. You know what I'm saying? That's what that point I was trying to make to you is that I don't think it's illegal. I just think it's a gray area in MMA where I don't think any athlete who has asthma would probably ever be, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you would have seen that combination where like you have these athletes during these high paced fights. And, realistically, someone who has asthma probably wouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
So like, it's never crossed my mind. And then my third thing was, well, maybe he got permission. And so when they said, oh, he got permission, I was like, that seems sketchy because I feel like that would have been news before the fight, not during the fight.
Well, I think it caught a lot of people off guard, including the VP.
Yeah.
The VP, Mark Ratner of Regulatory Affairs for the UFC, whatever that means. He said during the broadcast, no, that's not legal.
Man,
but apparently Jeff Novinsky said it is legal. But then the commission never got permission from Greg Hardy to say it was okay. So there's a whole bunch of fucked up things going on at the same time.
So many, literally.
But Greg Hardy wins the fight, unanimous decision. It was very clear and cut. I thought he looked good with the leg kicks. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. No. You said leg kicks because I think I agree with you.
No, I thought the leg kicks looked good from Greg Hardy. I thought he showed composure throughout the whole entire fight. He didn't look rattled like he did in this first fight in the UFC. He's getting better and better. The right straight caught him a couple of times.
Wait, caught Greg Hardy or caught the other guy?
Yes, he caught the other guy. Caught the other guy a couple of times. Yeah, caught him a couple of times. I'm interested to know. I think he said his friend who fought at the last pay-per-view, he fought the heavyweight, De Castro.
Okay.
If you remember the first opening fight on that
Yeah,
card,
yeah.
he said he was skeptical about coming in and rushing Greg Hardy because he's seen in the Castro fight, his friend got knocked out. So in this fight, he was a lot more patient on the outside, which led to leg kicks from Greg Hardy opening up.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. That guy for Castro is having a good fight. He's standing, but they actually made the right read. Caught him with the step back. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, DeCastro made the perfect read and caught him with a step back right. I mean, that was a perfect read on DeCastro's part. I think what we saw from Greg Hardy was an
Mature.
increase in his fighting. Yeah, maturity in his fight IQ. It's knowing what to do, and he was throwing the straight right a lot as well, which I was impressed by. He threw the straight right, and he wasn't just looking for big shots. He was trying to throw combinations, but the leg kick for him was a big deal in this fight. And it's interesting because I think they mentioned before the fact that he went to Thailand, or like I guess he went to like attended some type of Thai event that he was practicing. So it was pretty cool.
Let me read you a quote from Greg Hardy taken by Aaron Bronstetter. He said, "I was in the ring. Me and my coach asked the commission if it would be okay to use my inhaler, and they said yes. So I took it. I'm still a new guy in this sport. I did what I do in every situation. I asked permission, and I got permission, and I did what I was told. In this fight, I wanted to prove I was a fighter. I said before the fight that I wanted to go out and put on a showcase and show the leads and bounds that I've improved by. It was all about going the 15 minutes, showing some different weapons, and not making so many rookie mistakes, and just getting jabbed in the face. It was a Dean Thomas showcase. I have a lot of weapons and gas tanks to use those consistently over all 3 rounds. Right now, we're going back to the gym, put it together, and let my team make the next decision." So, again, it seems like nobody knew exactly what was going on. He's saying that he got permission from the commission. Mark Ratner, the VP, said that's not even allowed. Then you hear that the commission had no idea about it. Then he said an inspector got the approval, and the inspector wasn't supposed to do that. So there's a lot of mixed up stuff going around. But
again, the miscommunication here is phenomenal.
The takeaway from this, though, is at no point did they say this is not right. So my question is, if inhaler is approved by the commission ahead of time before a fight, which Jeff Novinsky said that is allowed, if what it contains is by USADA, then
so they probably test before and after the fight.
So fighters can use an inhaler during a fight. That's basically what they're saying.
I mean, I don't see theoretically. It won't. The only thing it'll do is open up your airway.
Yeah.
It won't make you breathe. It'll make it easier for someone who's probably their bronchioles who are spasming, like the muscle around it. If their muscle is spasming and constricting, it's going to be a harder time to breathe. So if you're copying that with like the whole exhaustion or the hard breathing of a fight, it makes it 10 times worse, right? It's like having it's basically what an asthma attack is. You're having difficulty breathing because the muscles are like constricting. But I mean, in theory, I feel like this would be an interesting move for MMA because then those who have asthma who are also fighting, I bet you we're going to see the emergence of this being used. But the rule was, you said 800 micrograms or something like that?
Yes. But it's 90 micrograms per puff.
Per puff. And you said each puff contains 80 micrograms.
90. So wait. The limit is 800. One
per
puff.
24 hours? What was the rule you read earlier? I'm sorry.
Per 12 hours. Yes.
So the rule is 800 so yeah, I don't see a problem with it. Will it give some people an edge? Maybe, but is that edge enough to say, well, that's the reason as to why you won the fight? It's hard. It's kind of hard to say because if you're tired, you're tired.
Dude, it's not gonna give anybody, let's say, Francis Ngannou another. Let me see here for 1 second. Let me show this. Heroes Stratus says Hardy fight can't change to a no contest. Yeah, we talked about that in the beginning of the before we start talking about going on further. From again reading from Kevin Lyell, who spoke to Jeff Novinsky, said inhaler like contain Albuterol or
Albuterol.
albuterol or salbutamol. Those drugs are allowed at all times, not to exceed 800 micrograms per 12 hours, and each puff is around 90 micrograms. Per Dana White,
So
Mass Commission's approved use of inhaler. So yeah, so fighters probably didn't. I don't think anybody ever thought about inhaler being used in a fight.
no, because when do you? I mean, theoretically, with the high pace and the high cardio and all this would probably not be the sport for you to play. You know what I mean? Like, I
Right.
mean, you could use no again, you could use the asthma while you're training and practicing, but the asthma pump and inhaler while you're training and all that. But like theoretically, this is probably not the sport you would want to do because it's so like taxing and it's very high. It's heavily relies on respiration. You know.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. It's very it brings up the talk now. You know what I mean?
Yes.
This is now where the talk happens.
Yes.
And it's not. And again, one of the things I didn't like from this fight was that people were booing Greg Hardy. But in reality, I don't think he did anything wrong.
No, I didn't think that. I thought they was booing the fight. I thought they were booing the fight that there was not much engagement. And I think they were expecting a knockout, and they didn't get a knockout. I think that's what they were booing the fight for.
When he first got into the cage, that first round, they were definitely booing Hardy. And I didn't like that. Maybe let me clarify that. I don't think they were booing him because of like the asthma pump. I don't think a lot of people even realize that. But I think they were booing him to start with, and I didn't like that.
Well, I mean, listen, that's what he's marketed for. And first of all, before going any further, I want to say thank you to Hero Stratus for commenting and for watching.
Yeah. Comments are welcome.
But at this point in the game, Greg Hardy literally just wants you to boo him. He wants the attention. I think
that's also true.
He's playing the Mayweather, John Jones, name any person that's deemed as a bad guy in sports. He's playing that role to where you want to see him get knocked out, and you're willing to watch him get knocked out.
Yep, that's also true. You invest in his stock, whether it's good or bad.
He's playing the role of the heel. Just think of it as pro wrestling standpoint. He's playing the role as a heel. So now he wants you to boo him. He wants you to watch him get knocked out, and that's the point of it.
That's true.
So I wouldn't. It's part of the business.
I think he does good though. I think he again from this fight, it's shown maturity in his stand up, and I'd be interested in seeing if he had a ground game. I mean, I don't know if that. I don't think it should happen, but I'll be interested to see if he gets tested again, like in the Allen Crowder fight.
I would like to see Greg Hardy fight a veteran next.
Interessante. I don't disagree. I want him to get someone not new.
I want to see Greg Hardy fight. Andre Arlovski's already booked up for the Massacre Garden fight. He would be a great introduction for Greg Hardy, I think.
That would be a great fight card for Madison Square Garden. It's too short for him, but Madison Square Garden is in T-minus 2 weeks.
And we are going. And if you are in Madison Square Garden, if you are going to see Masvidal versus Nate Diaz, hit us up. We'd like to see you. At MMA Renegade, which we have a new Twitter account. So that's cool too.
We do.
All right, moving on, because you guys school tomorrow.
I do.
What's the next fight? I believe it was Macy Barber.
Macy Barber versus Jillian Anderson?
I believe that. No, it was Joe Lozon. It was Joe Lozon.
Oh man, it was Joe Lozon. Sorry, I'm pulling it back up. I had it there, and I had clicked on a whole bunch of things for Weidman because I was trying to go back into his history and see who he fought when we talk about his fights. Joe Lozon.
Hold on. Drink of Joe Lozon. Lozon.
I mean, this man, I think what's the interesting part about him is that Joe Lozon, when people don't expect much from him, is when he delivers the most.
Hell yeah.
I think that's his best bet is when people are not so against him, but it's when people just really truly don't expect much from him. They're like, all right, you know, Joe Lozon fighting, cool. This is the case in when Joe Lozon fought. What's his name? Help me out. He is the short, stocky submission artist of the lightweight division. Miller.
Jim Miller. Did you see that fight? Do you remember that fight, right? It was a bloodbath. It was a great fight.
He dropped down like the last round, he dropped down. Joe Lozon dropped down after getting busted open. He dropped down for a flying heel hook. It was like it was insane. That fight from start to finish was insane. Then he's had some good fights along the years, but this was just, I mean, it showed experience versus the new guy. It was bad.
Yeah, so he tags him with a right hand, gets the takedown, gets the half Nelson from the bottom, has Pierce's armpit over his head to where he's like
Has
this. Just like if they mentioned it on the broadcast. You remember Brock Lesnar versus Frank Mir too?
man,
When he had him against the cage? They did
yes.
almost the exact same thing to where he has the Pierce's arm over his neck, and it just raining down punches from the side and gets the job done. Then,
I mean, wow, just
yeah.
impressed. He still has it. I mean, did he? I know we were talking before the fight, saying this may be his last fight. Did he retire?
He contemplating it in the octagon, but I would think it is. He's 35 years old. This is his first fight that he won in maybe 2 years. His last one was in 2017. He's done 3-fight losing streak, so this would break the curse a little bit. But yeah, I think this is the perfect way to go out. He won in his hometown, basically, by TKO. Impressive performance. I think this is the perfect fight to go out in the sunset.
Yeah, I think this is the one because I know there was the fight night in Boston before he had ended up losing.
Yeah.
He ended up losing, and then that was I know he had taken some time off. He opened up his gym. His gym is very successful in Boston. He's got a lot of good fighters coming out of his gym as well. So, yeah, I agree. This is how you ride into the sunset. This is the ending to the story that if you wanted it to be here, this would be where it should be, you know?
Yeah, I think Joe Lozon had a great career. He gave us a lot of memorable fights to watch.
A lot of great fights, man.
I think he's a UFC Hall of Famer for sure.
100%.
And yeah, I think this is the perfect fight to go out on. I want to see Joe Lozon fight again, especially after this win, especially, after losing 3 fights, 2 of those by knockout. I think this is the perfect fight to leave off on.
Yeah, I think this is the one. This is the one. I'm happy with this. At the one point, he's one of the reasons why I really actually love jiu-jitsu because this man's submission game is just phenomenal. He has great submissions, and I just want to read some of the people he has submissions over. He had Jamie Varner. I remember Jamie Varner back when he was in UFC.
Yeah, man.
Jamie Varner, Melvin Gillard, Kurt Warburton, George Soteropoulos. Haven't seen him or heard of him in years. Jeremy Stevens,
Yeah.
So he has a litany of people he's submitted. So I'm happy for him.
Me too. I think it's the perfect way to go out, and I think, like I said, he's a future UFC Hall of Famer, rightfully deserved, and I would love to see him, end his career on a high note, and again, he has a training gym, and he could train the next fighters coming up.
Yep.
I believe next on the card was Macy Barber versus Jillian Robertson.
Yep.
Macy Barber wins by TKO.
Yeah, strong. Just a strong finisher. I think that's what we're seeing. We were seeing the emergence of a title contender for the flyweight division. I mean, she swarmed Robertson. I thought Robertson was doing a good job, actually. I thought Robertson was doing a job because you saw the difference in size, number one.
Yeah.
But 2, in terms of striking, I think Macy Barber was a little bit more powerful. But the feints that were set up by Jillian, where she would fake a single leg and then come up and then exit out or go off to the side or get an angle. I thought that was a very, very impressive game plan.
I'll tell you what I thought was a good game plan for Jillian Robertson. I thought her, you really see this. She pulled guard. Sorry, she pulled guard just to get the single leg, which I thought was brilliant. I thought it was a great move to try to get Macy Barber on her back. It's just Macy Barber had great takedown defense, was able to get the clinch, reverse position, and put Jillian Robertson against the cage, and from there, Jillian Robertson was trying to escape, and then she teed off. She's able to use her power and TKO Jillian Robertson. I thought it was a great from Macy Barber, and she's 8-0 now. She's 21 years old, which is impressive.
So young.
She's won 2 fights this year. She's ranked right now at number 12. I think you throw her maybe Roxanne Modafferi next.
I'd be interested in that fight.
Modafferi is ranked number 8. I think that'll be a good test for Macy Barber, a veteran that can stand with you and that's take you down as well.
Yeah, it can go to exactly who can fight on the stand up, because Roxanne Modafferi's stand up has gotten significantly better, and she can also fight with you on the ground.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect fight for Macy Barber to test herself a little bit more. But yeah, I think Macy Barber is the future. I think she's the future. She's 21 years old, 8-0. She has her striking is good. She has power, and she's shown takedown defense, which is important.
Yeah, that's important. You're right.
Which is again was a transition from pulling guard to try to get a single leg, going to the clinch, and she was able to withstand all of that.
But it wasn't awkward. Awkward. You saw the fluidity of the move, because it looked like she was trying to go for the inside trip, but it looked like it was a trip. But then she actually slid under, pulled guard, then popped back up. I was like, wow, that actually, in reality, I don't think a lot of people would have been able to defend that as well. If I'm being honest with you, I think that was such a sneaky move that it was that good. I truly think that was such a. But Barbara saw through it. Barbara saw through it, and that was the issue, because she almost got the takedown, but like not like it didn't seem like she could like secure it, and that was the issue.
And that's interesting. So I wonder if a vet like Roxanne Modafferi can find ways to take Macy Barber down. We can see Macy Barber off her back, or Macy Barber can withstand all of that and beat Roxanne Modafferi.
Yeah,
it's a good test. It's a good test for Macy Barber.
It's a great fight. That's a good fight. I agree.
And last but not least, on the main card, we had Darren Wynn versus these two names. Darren Wynn versus what's Darren
versus Darren Wynn versus
Darren Wynn versus Darren Stewart.
Yeah, this guy.
Whoever decided to matchmake these guys,
just was brilliant.
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, take it this way. I think this fight was a perfect matchup for Darren Wynn.
Yes.
Darren Wynn. I think one thing that texted you was, man, Wynn is small for middleweight.
Wynn is. I'm going to pull him up as you continue speaking.
Wynn is very small for middleweight, which concerned me during the Eric Spicely fight, but he was able to stand with Eric Spicely and take some of his strikes and able to give it back to him, which is impressive. But when I'm seeing Darren Wynn against taller guys who can actually stay out in range and pick him up from there with jabs and the leg kicks, and it seemed a little bit too much. So
I'm just not to cut you off, but I'm going to give you the height, and don't be shocked. Darren Wynn is 5'6". At 185 pounds.
Yeah. Who missed weight?
By 2 pounds. Missed weight, nonetheless, but definitely by 2 pounds.
3.5.
They said 2, man. That's we gonna round down, all right? We gonna round down.
He missed weight at 185.
Oh, I thought they said 2 pounds. They said he was 2 pounds over at 187.
He was 188. He's 188.
Oh.
He's 188.5.
Commentator said that.
Which is not good. And it was interesting to see DC commentate this fight. It was interesting to hear his feedback on a fight that he trains.
He was very I don't think he was biased, in my opinion.
No, it was actually saying things about Darren Wynn that I didn't think about. Like he talked about he said when Wynn took Stewart down, we talked about control, by ourselves in private. He said Wynn is allowing Stewart to bridge off his elbow to get back up. So when Wynn is taking him down, Stewart is on his elbow, is able to posture back up and get to his feet every single time.
Yeah, that was a very big one. And another big thing they were talking about was that Darren Wynn has an overhand right, but he wasn't using it very much. And they said that the reason as to why Stewart was getting some of his jabs off and being loosened and things was because he didn't respect the striking of Darren Wynn until he clipped him with a right, and then it looked like he hurt him, but Stewart was good. But they said that he needs to start mixing up the takedowns with strikes, because Trevor Whitman also said the same thing. You can't just try to wrestle for 3 rounds straight, because a wrestling match is 7 minutes and a UFC match is 15. The 3-round fight is a 15-minute fight. So like wrestling is, you're not going to be able to last that long just wrestling.
Yeah, but I got the call. He says, Trevor Whitman said, he needs to strike on the inside to mix up the takedowns and not just shoot. So he's shooting a lot of the times you see in the first round, and you've seen a little bit in the Eric Spicely fight to a degree. He's shooting for the takedown whenever he gets compromised on the feet, instead of striking on the inside and trying to work your way into a takedown.
Yeah.
Which after a while it just builds up and builds up to the point where you're just diving and diving for a takedown, which is not there, and then the opponent's getting used to it.
That's going to be unless he change. If he doesn't change, that's going to be an issue when he gets to the higher ranking opponents. It's going to be hard. I think for him, especially at being such a small fighter, but being 185. Don't get me wrong, he's strong. The man is strong because he had like what, maybe 6 to 7 takedowns,
and he had the chin.
And he
had the chin. So, he was 6 for 14.
He's 6 to 14. That's a lot. I think that is a lot. I think 2 to 3 takedowns is a lot for like the guys in the upper weight class, but 6 is a lot. So it shows his wrestling pedigree obviously is being used, but the issue is how to incorporate that in the world of MMA. I think he's still figuring that out, or at least for his specific style.
And he looked gassed a little bit in the second round.
By the end of the second round, you saw him. He scored the takedowns, which is interesting because he scored the takedowns while he was tired. But you've seen he's just not able to do anything with it.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons as to why the judges scored him to lose. Now, if this was other judges, he may have won this fight because purely off the takedowns. And although he had takedowns, he didn't have much control. Again, what they were talking about, allowing Stewart to not bridge, but to kind of mount on his elbows and knees to displace the weight, and then eventually stand up. And that's why Stewart wasn't really that tired, because he was able to make those adjustments when he was being taken down. He accepted early on, I think, by the end of the first round, that he was going to be taken down, and he started playing guard. He started playing a very offensive guard where he was throwing elbows and punches. So I think he made the right adjustment towards Darren Wynn's game plan, which was to just wrestle him and try to wrestle this guy for 3 minutes.
3 rounds straight. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? I'm trying. Sorry, okay, you can speak. I'm gonna try something.
There you go. I think what happens is your mic get caught on your beard, and from there it gets.
I don't have a wire.
Oh, it's wireless?
It's Bluetooth, so it might just be going in and out.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, man, I thought Darren Wynn has a lot of work to improve on. I think, he could take a lot from DC. I think they're going to talk about – I think they're going to look at their fights together. I think DC's going to compare himself to Darren Wynn and say, listen, you've seen how successful I was to be on the inside and able to, use the clinch to strike and then work both takedowns from there. I think he used the same DC approach.
Yeah, I just think that being 5'6" in the division where most guys are 6 is hard.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. If you want to fight in this division, that's just going to have to be the norm. That's just going to have to be the norm.
And you have to make weight.
You got to make weight. That's true. You can't fight in the division because if you go up to 205.
No, he's not going to 205. He's not going to 205. But he's going to need some work at 185. I like his potential. I think his wrestling is outstanding when he's able to use it well. And
if he wants to take you down, he can take you down. That's what I respect about him.
Yes, but he has to work his way into doing a takedown where it's not taking too much energy.
Agreed.
Yeah. Let me just run through this prelims real quick. Charles Rosa beat Manny Bermudez by submission by armbar, which was a good fight. Good. Molly McCann beat Diana Belbita by decision, which was great. I love Molly McCann's takedown. Diana actually needs help a little bit on the ground department in defending. She's able. Molly McCann was able to get the double leg a couple of times and was able to control her on the ground. This is the fight I told you to watch out for. Sean Woodson beat Kyle
Bochnia.
Thank you. He beat Kyle Bochnia by decision. I told you Sean Woodson is the real deal. I think he has a lot of potential. He's a featherweight. He's tall. He's lanky. He has the range. He has good boxing. His footwork was good. He had good shoulder rolls, good head movement. He's gonna be a problem at featherweight, man.
Agreed.
Randy Costa beat Boston Salmon by knockout. I'm surprised that was not. I think it may have been, but I don't think that's the knockout of the night. I thought it was. Sean Brady beat Court McGee by decision. Brandon Allen beat Kevin Holland by submission. And Tanner Bozer beat Daniel Spitz by decision. So,
Yeah.
Overall, I thought tonight's fight card was really good. I think it's one of the best UFC fight cards, non-pay-per-view of the year.
Yep.
I think we can agree on that. And
I agree.
I think it was. I think again, we have Reyes, who's a number one contender. Yair Rodriguez is probably gonna get the winner of Korean Zombie versus Brian Ortega, and
Yep.
a lot of fights are pretty much set up for next year.
They are. I'm looking forward to the future fights, man.
Yeah, I want to thank Hero Stratus for commenting on the video and watching live. We appreciate you. I hope to hear more from you and to watch all other videos as well.
Yes,
we do a show pretty much every Sunday. If not, we'll recap right after the fight as well.
Yep.
So we appreciate you for viewing. We appreciate you commenting, and hope you subscribe to this channel as well.
All right.
All right, man. You have to get up for school tomorrow. You're a college man. You got to get up at 9 o'clock.
I'm tired.
It's 1:17 in New York. I have to now get ready for work tomorrow. So I'll see you later, man.
All right, brother.
Signing off. My name is Tyree Simon.
Elijah Jones.
And this is MMA Renegade, episode 8. See you next week, guys.
Have a good night.